found it.
I think there's a degree of truth to that. I don't think there's a
It's
real...
not bad enough that the person was
if we
murdered,
have
but
4 or
she's
5 prostitutes that got
demoralized and
killed or
dead.
druggies, they do a good job, but how far will they go? It depends on how easy the case is.
Right.
And when I say easy, how easy will it be for them to turn over the rocks, you know?
Right.
But,
Well, my hope was just to revisit these
Well,
and,
hey, you never
like
know.
a black
You
and
never
white
know.
footage and get as much, hopefully family, people like, I know the guy on the day the Lunken girl was killed, the first sign that they had was trouble it was the same thing with the Smith girl. A guy was walking his dog. And the guy was down at Rec Park walking his dog and ran across something that, looked kind of...
Valentine's Day girl. Yeah. I think you did bring it up earlier about confidentiality, and
Right.
I'm hesitant to say
Yeah,
much,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because there's people out there.
Yeah,
that
and I
is,
haven't gotten any kind of
and I think,
whatever for that. So.
I'm with you on that. But yeah, but going out in the field and
It just tears my heart that this stuff is still sitting out there and it's unsolved, and I can imagine what it's like for the families, and not to mention, I think that the media just shuts up about it and wants to pretend it's not there, and there are those of us that know, yes, it is there, and these girls were unsolved, and there's a person, there's a possible person out there that's, tapping off women left and right, and
well, we have cold cases, and when we have cases like John where it does happen. They do find the suspect. They do bring him in, and nothing happens.
Is that what happened?
Right.
John?
A guy tried to murder me, and they let him go on a misdemeanor assault charge.
Really?
While I was in the hospital getting 4 stitches in the front of my head and 5 staples in the back of my head.
Right.
And I had lived through it, and so I called the officer that was the arresting officer, and I said. I think this guy should be charged with something a little more because he tried to murder me in my sleep. I was asleep, and he was beating me in the head with a hammer in my sleep, trying to kill me.
Right.
And
That's what happened to the Brady guy. The little Brady guy over on Edwin Avenue. The guy, I know that
Asleep.
entire story too.
And then the arresting officer said, well, he just couldn't charge him with a felony. He said because he said my wounds were not grievous enough. How grievous do wounds need to be a felony? Is that right? 4 stitches and 5 staples in the head.
I don't know.
That's not a felony.
I don't think it's relevant. To be honest with you, if you got a wound, and it requires medical attention, I think that's a wound.
It would seem to be, the fact is, had the wound been any more severe, I would have been dead.
Yeah.
So I lived through it, and so I told him I was sorry I had lived through it, and,
Well, a good example of that would be Carol Yerke's son who got stabbed with...
I was going to say that. I just heard that story the other day. He got 16 months. Is that what he got for murder?
Pretty much. I don't want to
Well, I guess it wasn't premeditated murder, but yeah.
This guy who was trying to kill me, though, when it all happened, I realized that he had been setting this up for a while. He had scoped out the place. What is it? That cased the joint.
Remember?
premeditated.
Yeah, and stuff, and then I realized that I was not to live through it because there was to be no witness.
Right.
You see what I mean? And he waited till my roommates had gone on vacation and were going to be in New York for a week and a half. So, I also realized that I got the distinct impression that he may well have done this before, and may well have done it since. That's what he does. I mean, that's what this guy was about.
Right.
And I thought it was really important to try to take him off the street. So some of these other cases, they may well be him.
Well, with the Brady guy,
Very well.
the Brady guy, I knew Brady, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady from the boarding house on Merriman, which I talked about with Don Yelton the other night, that I lived in when I got here. I met another guy too there, Lawrence Myers.
That's right. You called in on his show, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I recognize
The
the voice
situation
now.
with getting hit by the car.
Yeah, I recognize the voice now.
Yeah. But
By a lawyer's wife, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lawyer's wife. It sure was. I was walking on Merriman Avenue. It was 93. I was thin. No, I was kind of thin. I was like 160 something then. Not yet. Which one's the best?
Fresh probably. That happened back in 93.
It was in 93, and I had just gotten here from Raleigh. And Okay, napkins.
Just wipe it on the table, flip it over. Yeah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do we have any spoons?
Yes, right
There we
there.
go.
A whole bunch of them. Then we have sweetener. You brought honey.
I don't do
A little
cream.
cream.
I don't drink tea very much. Sometimes when I go to Green Life,
Uh-huh.
I'll drink some of that yerba mate.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I was walking Merriman Avenue, and the next thing I knew, I thought it was a bomb. I thought a bomb had gone off.
Were you on the sidewalk?
In Asheville. I was on the sidewalk,
Uh-huh.
and
And you were hit by a car
I was hit by
on
a
the
car
side. You know
on the
what I say?
sidewalk.
I say if they don't like the way I drive, let them stay off the sidewalk. That's what I say.
And I come up off the sidewalk, and I could not breathe. And I was fighting for everything in me to get breath in my lungs. I mean, every bit of air that was in me had been knocked out. She was in the middle of the road, and people were coming out of nowhere saying, "You've just been hit. You've just been hit. You've just been hit." And I couldn't, they were, thank God people put hands on me.
Okay, well that's what I thought when I woke up being beaten in the head with a hammer.
Yeah.
I thought a bomb had gone off too. I
Did
thought it was
you?
an explosion. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was an explosion. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's what I
Wow.
understand when you say you thought it was a bomb.
It was
I thought
like
it was
a
an
bomb. I did too.
I didn't know what it was. I thought it was an explosion or something. I had no idea.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So,
Yeah, so now, now I put you together. I remember the phone call.
yeah.
Huh, that's
But I found out now thanks to Don, he filled me in, and I'm not going to say the lawyer's name, but, yeah, so.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, I'm not going to stoop to
Gotcha.
that level. I mean, but, whatever. I think what hurt me the most out of the whole situation was because I had a sister that had been run over and killed in '82 in Raleigh.
Mm-hmm.
And then for this to happen to me, there's almost like this feeling that there's a certain immunity to it after you have a sibling killed.
Mm-hmm.
But what hurt me the most was that they never said I'm sorry. They never sent me an
Arrogance.
apology letter. I know, the level of arrogance is like, my wife hit you and we're the victims. I was like, that's not, something wrong with
it's
that.
penned by an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what Don said. He said that the attorney that represented me, he said the reason I didn't get anything was
Yep.
because if he had stood up against this attorney, he would have been out of this town forever. He would have not been able. I didn't know that at the time, but that's what Don told me the other night. And so that's why I'm not going to say anything.
But still, it seems like if somebody runs over you on the sidewalk, you got a pretty good case.
I think I'd get
Well,
Did you have a
I did
witness?
everything. No, I did everything wrong. I didn't get the name of the people that saw it. I didn't, like
Did
the
a police
people that
report not
saw
be
it.
made?
They
Police
gave me
report?
this one little report with her name down at the bottom of it, and as far as I know, she wasn't ticketed. They told me that she was in diabetic shock, that she lost control of her car. And so I go in, I'm like, well, you can forget. Insurance was calling me, I think, over the weekend. I was like, I'm getting a lawyer. And so I go into the law firm's office on Monday or Tuesday, and I'm sitting there with this lawyer, and he's whatever. He's just as nice and personable and just as sweet. And all of a sudden, he stops dead cold, and he says, "Excuse me." And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, and he says, "I'll be right back." And he's going to the
I
back.
know exactly what he did.
And he comes back up, and they said, "Miss Brinson, we need you to follow us." And I said, "Yes, sir." And I followed him to the back, and he sits me down with his legal secretary, and he says, "She'll take care of the rest." And she says, "Miss Brinson," and I said, "Yes." She said, "The man that hit you?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Her husband works for our law firm." And I was like, "Okay." And immediately, and I come out, and the guy was yanking his name off his door and slamming the door. They never, he didn't come and say, "Look, I'm so sorry for what my wife did." Nothing, And so I get in a taxi cab, and the taxi cab driver says, "Here's the name of this lawyer that helped me out." And he was just down the street, and so I went to see him, but they took me in traction with a rubber block on my head and everything, and ran me through a CAT scan. I did not have a single bone. But if you'd seen my body 3 days later, I was black from here to here. From the, and the chiropractor said segmentation. Currently, I'm under massage therapy with a guy that's deals with trauma and things like that. But yeah.
Hey, are you coming in? I guess you are.
Got some more tea.
What's going
Hi,
on?
Richard. How are you?
Hanging in there.
Which side would you like? You should go
Well,
up
I'll sit
against
over
the
here
wall.
about this
I'll
way.
go.
Hey, I saw
10
you the
minutes.
other day
You did?
Yeah.
Where at?
on the show.
On the ship.
Here on the show.
I
Oh,
drop
sorry.
in occasionally. That's all right. I didn't mean to
always-
displace Jeff Turner. Glad
Nice to meet you,
How are
Jeff Turner.
Some days more than others.
No, you're a liar. Oh, what do you do? I'm sorry.
TV.
Just
County
a TV.
commissioner?
No,
No,
just.
no political
You gonna run for the
affiliations
board?
whatsoever.
I've been it's been suggested. I don't know. I don't know if I got 10 conservative friends up here.
So you probably find 10 somewhere.
I'll sign your paper.
Would you really? I don't know. I hadn't decided yet. I'm thinking about it. Why don't you run?
Too
I'll
busy.
sign your paper.
I'm too. I spend too much hours a day here as is.
Yeah.
Well, was it Chris that's on before y'all says he's running for mayor?
Oh,
Well,
Chris
Chris-
Calamonte?
Yeah, the guy,
he's
the
run-
monk of Mumford.
Yeah,
The monk.
he's run a lot. Yeah, he's got a lot of good points.
He does have some good points.
But anyway.
I know you're on here representing the.
Soil and water. Is there going to be? Is there?
I'm not representing
Soil,
nobody.
water,
but
and
me.
the
I'm
better-
here for a
the better-
cookie.
Let me ask you something.
I'm here for a cookie and some tea. That's it.
Let me ask you a quick question. Is there and I hear in June there's going to be an open period where people can run for soil and water. Is that true?
I do believe there's one office that's come up this year. Yes, right.
Is that in districts? Is that
I
in
don't know if
districts?
that's each.
Or is that just county-wide?
Something you vote on,
Yeah.
soil and water.
Yeah, he's an elected official.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, now what's your
It's
name
a
again?
county position. County.
Yeah.
See, I have to make
They
notes.
make more out of it than it is. You know, we just clean up the water and make sure stuff, things like that.
Well, I went for the primary. I'm sorry.
It's a whole lot more than that. But
How about our well water? If we need our well water tested to see if we've got kerosene in it or something.
there's all kinds of independent agencies
Is
that's
it all
cropped up in the
independent?
last 10 years. I have a cousin that does water testing.
Is there not? Is there
Kelly
not?
Keenan.
Is there not a state something that's like free to test your water or something like that?
Not a program that I'm aware of. I mean, we do certain creek testing ourselves occasionally, you know, as part of our system. In,
But not
you know,
wells.
I believe.
I would leave that up to private ownership. Folks is always screaming about too much government in their business, you know. Now, you know, if you've got a problem, then you may need to call government. But
Well, we're in a rent house. Go ahead.
Are you
lab
city
work's
water?
not that expensive.
Oh no, it's county.
I think we have a well there.
You have a well. The only thing
And what brought it to my mind was we have apparently there are two tanks for the kerosene for the heater at our house.
In ground?
And one of them's in the ground, one of them's above the ground. And recently they came and they filled our in-ground tank. And when the landlord found out about it, he made them have to come out and pump it $2,000 worth of oil out of it because that tank leaks. Well, that tank leaks enough that it even leaked through the basement wall, some of it into the basement. So a good amount of kerosene. So if they knew it leaked, apparently, I'm guessing it leaked before we ever
And
got
you're on
there.
well water?
And we're on
Yeah,
well
you
water.
should definitely have it tested. Whose fault was that?
Well, the guy who delivered the oil, there was on the delivery form that he had.
Pump on top.
There was a sign, there was a note that told him to fill up the above ground tank and not to fill up the below ground tank.
Well, you got to be
He filled
cautious
out
and
the-
careful doing all that type of work and those type of jobs. I've done that actual work for Walls and Marshall years
And see,
ago.
we didn't know any better because we're renters. So I mean, we didn't know the
Well, I'm sure
situation.
the oil company will take care of that, pay for the testing if the landlord pushes it.
And if you have crevice
That
in the
would be- that
bedrock
would be
there
the
below the
kick
house,
to
and it could have got down in there and contaminated the well. But it's just like
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
CTS,
It
it
could-
rolls
I-
downhill. So
I know how
if
it,
you can
I
get
know how
through
it
that.
plumes out from where it is, and I'm just thinking, that
Well, let's hope it didn't get down in there.
We had
But
that.
there's there's individual testing firms around town now. And lab work don't cost that much, to find out. But that needs to be cleaned up. If they hadn't cleaned it up, I'll just go ahead
Well, I
and
don't know if
say
they
that.
can clean it up. How they gonna dig up the whole yard 60 feet deep or something?
Maybe.
My neighbor
In some
across
cases, yes.
my neighbor across the street from me, I live over in Murdoch, and the neighbor across the street, the Merritts, they're from Georgia or whatever, and they were renting the house out, and they kept having a problem with the heat. The heat wouldn't stay on. Everybody turned over 4 times, and every tenant had the same complaint: the heat, the heat, the heat. Well, this last girl that went in there, she was kind of an earth girl, whatever, and she started smelling something, and so she called the city in, and the city went over there and condemned the house in one day. And that man, we were hearing figures of 10 to 15,000 is what it cost that man, because his oil tank in the ground had ruptured and was leaking, and they were going to have to pull it out. They had to pull the tank out. I can't believe that. I mean, I'd heard about that at gas stations, but never on private properties.
Yeah, this day and age, we have to be responsible. If we see problems like that, we can't just turn and walk away from it and figure the next guy will fix it or something. A lot of times the next guy ends up fixing it. But the proper thing would be to, like you said, probably start removing dirt. There's a process now, actually, that I heard about just
bacteria and stuff
recently that. They can take the contaminated dirt, if it's just like oil or petroleum distillates or something that's been spilled on it, and actually burn the dirt. They have this machine that they built, and it burns the dirt.
Put it right back where they got it from.
And it's cleaned out. Takes all the harmful vapors, and So I think that technology's growing, and I hope it is anyway. But there's so many things that people have to do. We still got a lot of homes around here that, have the asbestos siding on them. And if you go to a remodel on that, you basically got to enclose that whole home, technically by the law, in plastic before you can do something to it. That stuff gets in there, so there's a lot of regulations around, a lot of them's just designed for the general welfare of the people, and a lot of times people try to slip past those, but, we don't need to be able to let them do that.
Have you heard from Randy?
I sent him an email because he needs to get in contact with Pat pretty soon, because things are coming in, equipment-wise. I think he's gone for Memorial Day. His business has took off like a skyrocket. He's got several things. Hopefully we'll hear from
I
him
reckon
soon.
he doesn't like me anymore. He don't come to the tea party.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I'd say he's just crammed. He's got 3 employees now, and the new warehouse, and he's got another business getting ready to take off again, and so, I can't use him either. By the way, I'm gonna leave here in about 5 minutes, so I wanted to ask you: did you get to see Carol Yerke's speech that I filmed? Because I knew of Jay. I filmed
No,
it.
I don't think so.
Have you not seen it?
I saw it.
How did you see it? Yeah, it was a good. She went in. She's long. She speaks a good while on it, but she's very passionate. That's her son, so obviously. But
Right.
I wanted you to see it because I knew you had some ties, or you knew friends of his, and you've heard about it.
Yeah, real good friend. Jay died in a real good friend of mine's arms.
Yes, in the arms. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure you got to see that, and she started an advocacy group called. That's abbreviation by Jay. I can't remember what it stands for. I don't even know. Justice
Advocates
for youth. I think that's what it is.
Something like that.
J-Y.
Makes it Shawnee's the second Thursday.
Yeah, boy, you
of
got
every month.
She got a great memory.
Well, the toughest part about her, I saw the speech.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where I saw it. I think I saw it on the internet.
I've got it on the internet.
Or maybe, no, I think I saw it on URTV.
It's on there too.
And the toughest part was I went to look for information about that group on the internet or how to contact her. And that was it wasn't easy to find contact
If you'll
information
give me your
for the
number,
group.
I'll have her email you or something. Because she's hadn't got her website up yet. But anyway, I'm looking forward to URTV getting all this equipment in and getting it online. I'm looking forward to seeing stream video, live stream, and archives. I think the archives is neat. So,
Yeah, sounds like a lot of exciting stuff. I've not been able to get up and produce the show
go ahead and
yet. I'm
jot
so
your
busy
number
doing
down.
other stuff.
Here, I got a card.
Well, and now have you heard us going on about my particular bone to pick today?
Yeah, I've heard about we're talking about the political sign.
Yeah, that my Obama sign got stolen out of the front yard.
So you don't think it's a collector?
I heard.
Huh?
You don't think it's a collector because they're going to be like worth a gazillion bucks when he wins the presidency.
I don't think it's a collector. No.
It will be. Is what I'm
Do you
saying.
wanna
Do you know where I
videos?
do you know where I
See
live?
videos from
No, I don't know where you live.
I saw the
I
one
live
that
out in
did.
Weaverville on what's the name of that road I live on?
Monticello.
Monticello Road.
Okay.
I live
You don't
on.
know your
Oh, I just can't say names. I'm bad at
I
saying
know
names.
memory.
And I live on Monticello Road, and I think it's. I mean, you would say that's a primarily white community, wouldn't you? Pretty much
yeah.
exclusively white community, yeah.
Pretty much.
And so I figured that I figured that some people didn't really want that sign in the neighborhood.
Right.
You see what I
I
mean?
don't know though. There's signs
no.
throughout
Well,
there.
there's it's like the other gentleman said just earlier. There's several ways you can think about that and take it. Like trying not
Oh,
to.
you know your name and
you
your
know,
number.
Pins.
Grab his pen right
Get
there.
in and
Timber
speculate. Sure
But
you can.
anyway, so I'm putting out the call to will whoever got my Obama sign, will they bring it back? Because we want our sign.
Well, I think that's good that you ask. I mean, I came up here one day and asked people to pray for my sister. She was in a coma.
That's right.
The next day she was out of the coma.
That's right.
So all I know is that asking.
It can't hurt.
Right.
It can't hurt.
Right. Getting
Well, I
tongue
can-
tied here.
I kind of like the thing that Don may have asked you because he called me on the road telling me.
Uh-huh.
Put a sign up for Obama and then put one Yelton beside that and
We
see which
going-
one gets stolen first.
Well, we're going to put that. We're going to put one for Yelton too, because he had asked us for one, and I told him how putting up the Ron Paul sign had to go through committee with the roommates and stuff there at the house, and it took a while till it got approved, and finally I got
Democracy.
And so Yelton's sign initially, just like the Ron Paul sign, the Yelton sign got voted down right off the bat because of Don's doesn't believe in global warming. You see what I mean? So,
But you have to realize he can't do anything about global
Tanya,
warming.
don't believe it.
Even though the only ice left in the Arctic's in the refrigerator, right?
but my roommates have been watching the show and they've decided they like Don.
That's
And
what
so-
I'm hearing a lot. And I'm scratching my head going, me and you can go back almost a year ago or 10 months ago, and it was kind of a button heads all the way around. You guys,
Anyway,
you might have seen it. but,
Anyway,
yeah.
so they've
buttons.
decided they like Don. Well, you know what? Don's cleaned up his act a little bit because he's running. Have you noticed that?
Well,
he's
what
gonna do
he's
good. He's
speaking
gonna do
is
good.
what the neighborhood's favoring, right?
But he's a character. You know, I saw him here the other night.
Character.
I brought some toilet paper. He asked for toilet paper and paper towels, and I brought some toilet paper and paper towels. It was the first time I met him. And I left, and I was coming back around, and I was close to the exit, and there comes Don on his Jeep, and he's got that cell phone in his hand.
He's probably talking to me, telling me about your bumper sticker. Yeah.
Yeah, I have an Obama bumper sticker on the back of my car.
So she likes it. He may.
She brought me this.
Yeah, I see that.
I
Yeah.
worked at the campaign a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I did some
But I need
volunteer work.
a real yard sign. You know, that's
know
what
what
we
you mean.
had before.
I just hope whoever gets it can follow through with the action behind the rhetoric they've been throwing, because they're all, they've all got the game down real good. They know all
Yeah,
the right
don't they?
words and the right phrases and how
Well,
the
they've been
dogs.
politicking for 2 years.
Well, now I tell you what.
Well, they've been politicking all their life.
That's
What do you
true.
mean?
I know, but the whole thing serves as a smokescreen to distract us from the travesty we've got going on now. We don't even need to be looking at what's going to be elected. We need to be about fixing the problem we've got right now, before these folks get out of office, because all this stuff's going to be set in stone as
There
soon
just
as.
apparently seems to be no way Congress can stonewall any of it.
I don't believe that.
They seem to be trying. I think, Pelosi's got a few more wrinkles and some heavy bags under her eyes since she took office trying to deal with
In my
COVID.
opinion, she should be in the president's office now, because Dick Cheney and George Bush should have already be gone.
Already been arrested.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of folks that believe
Well, now
that
see, I
way.
shouldn't have you on the show and be talking all this stuff.
That's
I'll get
okay.
him all
I
worked up.
disagree with you. Here's real quick because I got to go.
Yeah, but I
One
had a
minute.
whole hour of republicanism last week watching this show,
Just
it's
real
equal.
quick. I think September 11th changed everything. Everything got
It
changed,
did.
and we're in tragedy. And I believe had we had Al Gore in, I honestly feel that we'd be in the same shape, if not worse.
No.
Well, to begin with, if we'd had Al Gore
I don't
in,
think so.
if we'd had Al Gore in, we probably wouldn't have had the September 11th tragedy.
Possibly.
Based on the fact that the at least we seem to be blaming Osama bin Laden, and the bin Laden family is a good friend of the Bush family, not a good friend of the Gore family. You see what I'm saying? So this is, I mean, we're getting into, this is private stuff between, the Bushes and the bin Ladens and stuff like that. We're in the middle. Our people are getting killed. That's a bunch of bunk.
And it happens to be the best people in America that's getting killed.
Well, I
and
think-
it ain't 19-year-old kids no more off the bed.
I know, they don't know.
Grandpas and daddies and mamas
Well, it's
and
just tragedy. It's
sons
tragedy.
and daughters.
They
It's
don't-
the best
we need to-
people
Yeah.
in America's getting killed. We
Oh, I
gotta
agree.
stop that.
When
thing.
you have people volunteer to serve a country and they're getting killed, absolutely.
I'm there.
I think that if they're going to keep having their war, they need to at least bring home all the reserve and all the guard,
But
and then just have it with the regular troops. And if they can't, they don't need to be having a war.
Well,
It's
that's
just-
just one of the signs for that. But anyway, I'd love to chat more about that. Just remember, 9/11 changed everything, and I don't
That's
know
true.
if any president could have done any worse or any better. Now you may squint at it, and I understand that, but
No hindsight's
it's a
20/20.
very
He's
first
done the
time it's
best he
ever
could,
happened.
I think he was dealt a strange blow there. I
we
don't
could
know
go
how
back
anybody
to
handled
we could go
it.
back to Clinton whenever he had an opportunity to get Hussein and all them folks. But when we go back to Bush, we can go back to even Nixon.
All
It
I
didn't
know
happen.
is that I'll give him credit for not getting us into a nuclear war. So
Yeah.
that's so
Oh,
far
Bush?
so good.
That's true.
I enjoy.
They all
nice
good
to
if
meet
they,
you.
if
Nice to
they,
meet
if
you,
they make
Tony.
it through and don't
Thank
do
you.
Hey,
that.
and I
Good to
enjoy
see you
it.
again.
Good to
Thanks.
see you again, Richard.
That's yes, and it's always good. URTV. That's the only place
Say
where.
hey to Dr. Dick
And
for us.
now,
Dr. Dick will be back. He's coming. You
farmer
just don't know it.
All right, make a donation on the way out the
Here,
door.
sit
now.
that over here, as far as you can reach to sit that so I can grab it.
Yeah, it's still cooking hot too.
For your pen again?
Well, you can have this pen if yours is
Oh,
gone.
no,
I've got plenty.
I got
that-
more at
the girls at the credit union give me plenty of them up there.
Which one? No, credit union.
Yeah,
Well, there we go. We went. Oh, it's it's about time for me to run some kind of an end roll
about
here.
commercial time again.
Yeah, it's time to.
Just show almost over.
Time to.
Well, actually, I came up to make a donation and to see if I could sneak in and get a cup of tea and a cookie. So
What'd you do? Did you bring some paper towels and toilet paper?
No, I was just bringing a cash donation up. And I encourage everybody out there right now to bring cash donation. No amount is too small. Right, I'm
Keep
about
those,
to go
cards,
right. Yeah.
keep those cards and letters
I
coming
mean,
in.
10 cents, 25 cents, if you can have a bake sale and bring us up $100 Monday, that'll work too. Whatever
Oh,
you
that'd
can
be fun.
do.
We could have a bake sale.
And folks, don't forget those checks, because them's what keeps us on the air, as they say. Right? Okay, here we go. Check that out on the TV screen.
It's getting harder to raise money because they've got.
Welcome to the Pleasure Saucer. Always, Cry Theater and Crowded Fire.